All right. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jen. I will be your moderator here today. And as you guys all come and join us, I hope that you're nomming on some delicious grub provided by Fictiv. Hopefully you're putting that $15 lunch credit to good use. So welcome to Friendsgiving with Fictiv, 5 ways to accelerate your engineering workflow. And before we get started today, I'm just going to run through a few quick housekeeping items. First and foremost, please post all of your questions in the Q&A section of the webinar platform. This way, your question will have the best visibility by our host and the best way to get your questions actually answered. We'll leave about 10 minutes at the very end for Q&A specifically. Also, a gentle reminder that a recording and slide deck will be sent in follow-up of today's live webinar. So don't worry about ferociously taking notes, as I know that you all were. Sit back, eat, relax, and we're going to send you everything you need. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our 2 hosts for today. Our first host today is Justin. So with over 8 years of product management experience in the consumer electronics industry and specializing in NPI with startups, Justin is an expert in all things product management. Here at Fictiv, he combines this in-depth expertise with his degree in mechanical engineering to improve the DFM feedback and configuration experience for our customers. Little fun fact is that Justin actually ski raced throughout college and is a member of the U.S. Ski and Snowboards DEI committee. All right, so thank you, Justin. If any of you want to shred some gnar, he's your guy. And now I get to introduce TJ. TJ is actually a founding member of Fictiv's technical customer success team. TJ has been supporting Fictiv customers for years. His goal is to deepen relationships with customers by delivering stellar service and advocating for their feature requests internally. TJ earned his bachelor's in economics from Santa Clara University, and in his free time enjoys surfing, creative writing, and cheering on the San Francisco Giants. So Justin and TJ, welcome, and thank you for being our host today. So today I'm also going to introduce you to Fictiv. And through today, we're actually going to talk about how you can accelerate your workflow with Fictiv. And just in case you're new to the Fictiv universe, we are a digital manufacturing ecosystem to help bring your parts and products to life. Justin and TJ are going to walk you through several features and enhancements of the Fictiv platform, which is free to use, by the way. And each of these features and enhancements were actually founded and built based off of the challenges of the everyday engineer. So literally everything you see today was created based off of our customers to make their lives a little bit easier and enhance their workflows. All right, Justin, I'm going to pass it over to you to kick us off.
Sweet, thank you. Very excited to have everyone here. Very fun. So look forward to the conversation and everything we're about to cover. As Jen was saying, I work here at Fictiv. I'm a product manager. I specifically work on the DFM and kind of configuration experience, that you all perhaps have used or tried out or use regular hopefully. So, but without further ado, I'll jump into our agenda. We've got a few things that we want to cover today, specifically 5, and I'll just go through them quickly here. 2D drawings, IP security, design for manufacturing, the DFM process, time spent sourcing, and lack of post-order visibility, and how Fictiv helps with these challenges in the production process. So first of all, I'll dive into 2D drawings. So at Fictiv, we're very aware of the importance of drawings. That's why we made it a point to provide robust drawing support on the platform. We know drawings are critical for requirement communication and quality, and without them, wouldn't be able to properly communicate things like tolerances, GD&T, and all the other things that we know and love and include in drawings throughout the process. But we also realize is that drawings, create friction or have the opportunity to create some friction in the prototyping phase. You may not want to create a drawing that you know is going to constantly be changing with each design iteration. I know from both talking with customers as well as, in my experience that, just up-revving those things all the time is kind of a challenge. The other thing I know is that, for many customers, there's a strict like doc control or review process that makes iterating on drawings challenging. So we don't seek to explicitly, circumvent all of that, but we're really seeking to just enable you while using the platform with what we've, been building out over time. So based on this understanding of drawings and their importance, we've been working to improve the drawing support that we've already had for a long time. Throughout the year, this year specifically, we've added the ability to view, generate, and annotate drawings right within the Fictiv platform. Annotations are great for the times when you may have forgotten to include something in your drawing, or you want to remove a requirement that's perhaps causing some difficulty. Maybe that's increasing cost or lead time to a level that's not right for you, right? And then generation is a great, tool for those times when you haven't created a drawing yet in your process, and you need to call out maybe a tolerance that you've maybe overlooked, or maybe you realize needs to be included in a drawing, or maybe it's something even simpler like a thread detail, or you would like to request some sort of post-process. Conveniently, when you marry these two things together, right, you can generate a drawing directly from your 3D model right on the platform, and then you can annotate it, right, and get that quoted. So just trying to make things simpler. But all of these things are meaningless in some ways without properly understanding what's in a drawing. So as a result, based on this, Fictiv has had a capability that we've been using since 2018, which is that we're actually analyzing 2D drawings to detect requirements and details. This allows us to actually understand the drawing. This helps ensure the quotes are accurate, but most importantly, it helps prevent delays in the manufacturing process for things that may not have been accounted for if you weren't looking at the drawing, right? And so up until now, this is something that's been completely behind the scenes. We use it, it's a tool, we rely on it, it's critical to the way that Fictiv functions. But starting today, we're actually exposing some of this analysis to you as users within the platform. And so that's all done through what we're calling the drawing analysis report. And so I figured the best way to talk about it and see it and see how it might help you in the process is actually to do a little demo. So let me jump over to a new tab here. And I've got this tab open. For those that may be unacquainted with the Fictiv platform, this is what we call like the quotes page. And so you can see all the quotes that you've got. I'm just going to jump into one here that I have already loaded up with a few different parts that we have. And I will go into the what we call the configuration model. Oh, needs a refresh. Had that tab open for too long, sorry. And now I can see this part, right? Spin it around. I can do my 2D drawing, right? And load that all up. But there's some new stuff here. Specifically where we got the technical drawing section over in the right-hand column, you can see that the stuff is now in green. It says your drawing has been automatically reviewed and your part is ready to purchase. But then it's also got this button here kind of calling your attention to it, which says review the drawing analysis. If I click on that, it actually flips over and shows me some of the things that are now included. It shows, some explicit callouts to say, standard tolerances are included, tight tolerances are in this green box type, and threads are in this blue box type, and all of those things are included and accounted for in your quote. If you're ever, missing this, you can always get to it from the drawing analysis tab up in the top. But so if I now look at my drawing, there's some new things here. You can see that we've got a green box around these, tolerance callouts, which are highlighting tight tolerances that we've detected in your drawing. And if I actually scroll down further, not only do we have more tolerance callouts, we've got threads that have been detected. And so all of this is meant to, show you some of what we understand from your drawing. And we'd like to make sure to highlight that if there's something that we missed, we direct you to annotate your drawing. You can, do all the traditional kind of annotation features, arrows, lines, circles, different color options, that sort of stuff, to actually annotate a drawing. And once you request it, it'll get reviewed by a Fictiv manufacturing engineer, just to make sure that everything is A-okay and as you want it. Now, I'm going to highlight one other detail that's included in this drawing over here. In this instance, you can see that this technical drawing section is highlighted in kind of an orange color to call your attention to it. It says additional requirements were detected in your drawing that require configuration. Well, what's that about? If you click on the drawing analysis button, you can see that we're calling out that we detected a COC and a material cert actually in your drawing. And so right from here, you can click to add those to your part. And if I do this quickly, you'll see what happens. And now this turns green, and that's all great to make sure we've accounted for everything. And if we go back over to the configuration tab, you can see that this is now saying your drawing is automatically reviewed and your part is ready to purchase. So you're all squared away. So that is the new drawing analysis feature. With that, I'll jump back into our presentation and we'll keep on rolling. If you have any questions about the drawing analysis feature, how it works, feel free to put those in the chat and we can come back to them when we get to the Q&A portion at the end. Next up, we've got IP security. So I'll hand it over to TJ to take us through that.
Cool. Thanks, Justin. Very good stuff on the drawing analysis feature. Happy almost Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm TJ. I'm with the technical customer success team here at Fictiv. The first problem that I wanted to talk to you about today is one that rears its ugly head, regardless of whether you're an engineer, purchaser, GSM, or even an executive, and that is the security of your company's intellectual property. The key here is trust. If you have one supplier who you've worked with for years, you have faith that they have the best interests of your IP at heart. But when you're working, to source production out on the level of a whole BOM, you're going to be sending your sensitive IP to who knows how many different suppliers, some of which you may never even have worked with before. So, this process carries a ton of risk, right? From talking with our customers, we found that there's a lot of distrust when using digital manufacturing platforms such as Fictiv. And many of our customers even have compliance processes set up to ensure that they're using suppliers who can prove a certain level of cybersecurity implementation. So that's why earlier this year, Fictiv embarked on a company-wide initiative and got SOC 2 certified, which makes us an industry leader in IP protection, so that when you quote and order parts with Fictiv, you don't have to have your guard up. So if you can go to the next slide. What is SOC 2? It's pretty complicated. I'm not going to bore you with a ton of details, but essentially it's a set of controls that pertain to the security of our systems and processes as they relate to how we handle your data. So more important than the question of what SOC 2 actually is what does SOC 2 mean for you? And I think this graphic here on the slide does a pretty good job of summing that up. So it speaks to the holistic view of IP security that we have, where IP security isn't just about encrypting your data or keeping our manufacturing partners' facilities secure or educating our employees about trends in cybersecurity. It's about all of those things and more, right? The combination of everything. It's identifying any possible weak link in the chain of when you first upload your parts to our platform to when you actually receive the finished parts. Doing a thorough analysis of what that weak link is, how it could lead to a security breach, and then taking action accordingly. So I want to double click on a few specific examples along this chain to demonstrate some of the measures we're taking from a security standpoint. So if you could go to the next slide. When you place an order on the Fictiv platform, we create a work order containing all of your files, your CAD models, your drawings, if you have any. And we randomly generate names for everything, so that your actual part names aren't getting exposed to our partners. So it's typically going to be like an adjective and an animal followed by a number. So like delicious turkey 5289. So we take that work order full of your files, we sanitize all of the drawings to scrub them of any mention of your company or any individual engineers at your company. So, if you look at the photos in this slide, we've got a few things highlighted, right? We've got the title of the drawing, the triangle part, which mentions the company name. We've got the name of the engineer to the left of that. And then we've got some proprietary confidentiality information. So we manually scrub all of that information from your drawing, so that when we have that bundle, that work order containing your files, we send that out to our network of manufacturing partners to get it scheduled, but our manufacturing partners have no visibility into who they would actually be making the parts for. So speaking of our manufacturing partners, part of our approach to IP security lies in our manufacturing partner network model. One of the advantages of our model is that rather than have like thousands of different manufacturing partners, thousands of different suppliers who we don't know very well, we have a pretty tight-knit group of roughly 250 shops, all of whom are under strict NDA, so that they legally operate as arms of Fictiv rather than as independent shops. So we have a supplier quality engineering team that's going to follow up with them in case of any quality nonconformances. But we also have a supplier development team that's responsible for vetting, onboarding, and creating really deep relationships with our manufacturing partners to ensure that everybody we work with is up to snuff, is in compliance with all of our security protocols. So last thing, what does this mean for speed, right? How does this accelerate your workflow? Well, it means that for all of the common reasons, all of the common concerns that folks have with using digital manufacturing platforms, right? How do I know my files are safe? How do I know who's seeing my IP, et cetera? Fictiv has you covered. It means that, if you don't have to send your designs to 14 different shops, increasing the risk of a breach of your trust with each subsequent send, you can just log into Fictiv, place an order, and then we'll handle the rest to make sure that your designs stay safe. And so now I'm going to pass it back to Justin. He's going to talk a little bit about DFM, I believe.
Yeah, next up, DFM. So design for manufacturing. DFM as a concept, I guess in some ways is simple. Ensure parts are manufacturable via a given process, but we also know that it definitely doesn't stop there. As an engineer, you're probably frequently thinking about a whole bunch of other things. You're thinking about validating your design. So any sort of design concession creates a certain degree of risk, right? Maybe if that relaxing that tolerance for this phase means that you can't actually assemble the part, that's a challenge for you. Right. And maybe you're thinking about how this part interfaces with other parts, just as I was referring to, and how it overall interacts with this total assembly. You may also be thinking about how this translates to different processes for production. Maybe you're 3D printing today and you're going to be injection molding tomorrow, or you're CNCing now and you need to scale that up to something more broad, perhaps like die casting as you go along. And so you're trying to think about all these things, and all meanwhile trying to optimize for cost and lead time for your prototyping builds. And all of this is because it's easier to change a design earlier rather than later. Late changes cause friction and usually delays to a whole product realization or like new product introduction process, right? Well, we at Fictiv are aware of all of this, right? So for some other platforms, DFM is the opportunity to get users to conform their design to their specific limitations, meaning a lot of design concessions. We're trying to support your design with the fewest number of trade-offs or concessions possible by trying to meet your requirements and standards with a high degree of manufacturability. This helps aid in the process of getting a product ready to scale with DFM that is closer to the end state. And furthermore, this pulls elements of the DFM process forward and aids in thinking about details such as quality that may otherwise be a secondary or tertiary level concern at kind of the prototyping stage. while much of Fictiv is oriented towards this automated experience of, DFM on platform and automated things like quoting, et cetera, we also realize that, guidance is key. You still need somebody with lots of experience to help you sort through a lot of these trade-offs, right? And so we know that, right? We have an entire team of manufacturing engineers here that can support in evaluating a lot of these things. And you can always reach out to us through, the chat that's directly on platform, which you can see in this kind of this GIF here, and how you do that. But you see this come through in many other ways as well. This team is experienced across all manufacturing processes, including experts with deep knowledge in areas like injection molding, part design, as well as tool design, scalability, and the like, right? We've got a few here, Kyle, Cameron, Bill, all on our team that, work deeply, for example, in the injection molding realm, right? If any of you have received our injection molding DFM docs, that include, part level detail analysis, all that's made with a lot of help from these engineers that work directly for Fictiv and help guide, all of you through the entire process. So next up, we've got time spent sourcing. TJ was alluding to some of this before, but I'm also intimately familiar with it from some of my time, in prior jobs. I know it takes a lot of time to obtain quotes from various suppliers and meet your criteria, cost, lead time, quality, etc. Even more so, it's hard to find new suppliers, right? And TJ was talking about that, how we bring people in. And it's even if you have a good selection of suppliers, they can be, capacity limited. All of this takes time. You have to sort through all of this, which takes engineers and other team members away from the work that they're really meant to do, the stuff where we really add value, right? And so we're trying to make this all a little bit better. We're doing a number of things to help reduce the time spent doing those sorts of tasks. First, we take on the burden of finding and vetting suppliers for capabilities, capacity, quality, security, and more, all right? And we have a long list of them, right? We've got over 250 suppliers that we work with, and that reduces capacity bottlenecks that you can run into when you only have a few suppliers. Even more so, it prevents the problem of, oh no, like that's my one supplier for X, right? Like maybe it's some specific, finishing requirement. Maybe it's who knows what, EDM or passivization or who knows, plating. And all this helps save time when quoting parts, right? So you can effectively come and, upload something on platform and know that Fictiv's got you covered in terms of all of those requirements, and helping distribute and mitigate those risks. But we also know that getting a price is not the end of the story. We know that quoting takes a lot of back and forth when evaluating options for cost, quality, and lead time, as I was referring to. And so we have some things, some tools directly within platform that help with this, right? And so I'm going to jump into demoing one that is kind of in the process of rolling out. I'm going to show off something that's called what we call quote level lead time, and it helps with this evaluation. So let's jump over here, and I will close this part that I was looking at before, and I'll go back to my quotes. If I jump down to this quote, I got a bunch of parts in here, right? And they've got all sorts of different requirements. I'm going to actually, and we've got this new quote level lead time section, this lead time selection. It gives you these boxes, right? But if I actually click out of this and go back to kind of the traditional way of quoting parts at Fictiv, you can see how this changes, right? I've got this part where the fastest domestic option is 7 days, right? And it goes up to 13. But if I look at this one, or let's look at something that's even less constrained, right? 7 days is like the maximum lead time and the minimum is 3, right? Well, for you as somebody who's just coming here to try and sort through all of this, like if you want to try to optimize your cost and lead time for a particular delivery date, perhaps you've got a build that's coming up with your team, right? Sorting through that is kind of a pain, and I've only got 4 parts. If you've got 10, 20 parts, it gets even more challenging, right? Well, this lead time selection system is meant to try and make this simpler, faster, and easier. And so if I go over here, I can see exactly what my options are. I've got 3 basic options. I've got, fastest, domestic, standard, cost effective, which shows specifically the dates that are available, or delivery dates. And overseas, same thing, this breakdown. And the best thing is that this actually highlights the specific cost for each option. And this is actually a little more sophisticated than just saying that if I configure all of the parts for the fastest lead time, that the price is going to be to this. It's a little bit smarter than that. What it's actually doing is saying that, oh, the longest lead time, or sorry, the shortest lead time for the longest lead time part is for delivery on December 3rd. And then everything after that, it's actually optimizing to match that lead time date to give you the cheapest price for that, becomes like your fastest lead time, for like the long straw part. So it's really here to try and make all of this a lot simpler rather than having to sort through this and try and figure it out. You can just pick these easy options and get something that helps you kind of identify, exactly what's right for you. Now, there's one thing I'll highlight here. Not all of this is available for every single part, or excuse me, not all of this is available to all users today. What is available is you can select these lead time options. The cost is not actually displayed to most users today. I'm in the beta group here at Fictiv, but this we expect to roll out over the next month or so, where you can actually see not just the lead time, but you can see the specific cost options. So just one more thing that we are working on to save some time and effort for the people that use Fictiv. So if I jump back, I'm going to move on to some post-order visibility stuff, and I will pass it off to TJ to go over some of that.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, this is maybe my favorite part of the Fictiv platform. It's something that we created sort of while I've been here, this focus on post-order visibility. And so I've gotten to see the evolution from sort of not providing a ton of visibility into the current state, where we're doing some really cool stuff. So quick rhetorical question. How many times have you placed an order with a supplier and been given 0 visibility into production status, including questions or issues that arise during production, DFM suggestions during production, warnings of potential delay risks? My guess is that at some point, every single person on this call has experienced this in one way or another. It's super common for engineers to find themselves chasing down suppliers for updates and information on their orders. Not only does this lack of transparency result in stressing over whether or not you're going to get something on time and in spec, it also creates this like administrative burden where you have people from multiple teams, purchasing, finance, fulfillment, beating down your door at all hours to find out, when a part is going to be delivered. And so, if all that is falling on your shoulders and you don't have a reliable way to find that information, then you're going to have to take time out of your day to get a hold of somebody at the supplier, and then, track that information down, provide it to the person who's asking. And so then if you could go to the next slide, Justin, there are issues that go hand in hand with this lack of transparency. One big piece of transparency is getting the correct documentation that confirms you're getting what you ordered, right? So if you need a material cert in order to properly receive your parts into stock, but that cert isn't included in the package, what do you do? Another piece of this that's relevant, especially more relevant than ever right now, is mitigating supply chain risks and delays, especially if you work for a smaller company that doesn't have like a robust logistics team. So all of these problems fall under that umbrella of lack of visibility post-order. To solve this, Fictiv takes a two-pronged approach. So if you can move to the next slide, the first way we solve this problem is with our technology. We've built an entirely separate part of our platform just to provide you with the transparency into your orders. So when you're logged into your account, you can click the orders tab, which is going to be between the quotes tab and the help and resources tab. When you enter into that page, you're going to be able to review every single order you've ever placed with Fictiv. And when you drill down even further by clicking view order details on a specific order, you'll find what we call our pizza tracker, which is a nod to like the Domino's, online module of being able to follow the journey of your pizza while it's being made. So that's what you're seeing in this GIF here. The page details everything you need to know about the current status of your order while it's in production, and then when it ships, it's going to have tracking information so that you can follow your parts through the entire production process. Not only will it have that tracking information, if you go to the next page, it's actually also going to have photos and quality documentation for any part as soon as it ships, so that you'll have access to everything you need in order to properly receive a part before it's even delivered. So you'll see on this photo, there's some photos of the parts in their finished state, and then there's like an inspection report uploaded there. If you ordered a COC or a material cert, that's all going to be right here on the same page forever. So, if you want to refer back to a part months after you ordered it, all that information is still going to be there for you. One thing to highlight here is that not only do we give you the information that you need to share out to the rest of your team when people come calling about updates or whatever else, we have a quote sharing feature that enables you to spread that administrative burden that I mentioned among your teammates so that people don't need to come calling in the first place. When you're reviewing your quote, you just click share quote in the top right corner of the page. I got it highlighted right there for you. And then you'll be able to loop in your teammates via email or provide them with a link to the quote, just like you would with a Google Doc. So we made that very simple and convenient so that you're not the one that's putting up bottlenecks during quoting. And then the final thing I want to say is, so that's one way that we address that problem of post-order visibility, right, is our technology, the features that we've built out on our platform. The other way is actually with our people. So this is especially near and dear to me since I'm a member of the team, but we have the technical customer success team here that exists to make sure that your post-order experience is as smooth as possible with Fictiv. You can leverage us as overseas logistics experts. So if you're unfamiliar, with importing parts from overseas, especially in these times of these very overbearing supply chain disruptions, we're happy to provide you with the information you need to mitigate delays. We also act as the link between you and our manufacturing partners. So, anything we hear from them in terms of production updates or delay risks or anything like that will be relayed to you within an hour or two of us hearing about it from them. And if you have any specific requests during production, like a rev update, or if you just want like a general production update, we're available all day. So please never hesitate to reach out. You can essentially think of us as an extension of your own team here at Fictiv. And that's all I had to say about post-order transparency. I think that pretty much sums up all the points we wanted to make. So just some key takeaways here to sum everything up. Obviously, 2D drawings are critical. Our bread and butter is these really like high complexity parts that have 2D drawings. And to highlight that drawing analysis that Justin touched on is really exciting. It's a fun new feature for you. Number 2, protect your IP with our SOC 2 certified systems. We want to make it clear that there shouldn't be any worries on your side about using us as a digital manufacturing platform. Number 3, obtaining DFM feedback is obviously very key to mitigate any issues. once you get closer to sort of like DVT, PVT up to production, you want to hit the nail those down as soon as possible in that process. And then to save time sourcing with our flexible production options, Justin showed you the really cool quote level lead times, which is going to make things a lot easier and definitely make more sense than configuring everything individually. And then tracking your parts post order with our transparency features, also very cool. So yeah, I think that's it for us. I think now is when we pivot into Q&As. I know we have at least one. If you guys have any other questions, and it doesn't even have to be about any of this, could be about Fictiv in general. Happy to answer anything you guys are wondering.
Excellent. And thank you, TJ and Justin. I know that I'm pretty jacked up and excited about everything you guys walked through today. And I personally cannot wait to get back into the platform. So while we go ahead and answer the questions currently in Q&A, like TJ just mentioned, please still feel free to post your answers there. We'll leave about 5 to 10 minutes to answer anything we see in that Q&A section. So let's kick it off with the first question we're seeing here. So Justin and TJ, why is pricing so much less for overseas lead times?
TJ, you want to take this one or you want me to?
Yeah, sure, I can take it. It's a good question. I think it's a lot of reasons. Primarily just has to do with, our overseas network is rooted in China. We've got a few manufacturing partners in some other countries in Asia, but primarily a lot of our overseas capacities in China. We actually have an office in Guangzhou with like 50 plus employees that are doing the same things we're doing every day. I think it's sort of a culmination of every touch point along the manufacturing process. So material costs are a lot lower over there. Labor costs are a lot lower over there. It just sort of like combines to make just overseas production a lot more cost efficient in general. The trade-off there is obviously delivery time, right? It takes a lot longer for parts to get shipped from China than it does from Salt Lake City, for example. Yeah, I mean, there's no other trade-offs really. Obviously, the quality is going to be consistent from our overseas manufacturing partners to our domestic network. So that's, yeah, just a little bit about why pricing would be less. Thanks for the question.
Awesome. Thank you, TJ. Another one here. If we are through some of the hurdles like manufacturing design, can we skip to the step of sourcing suppliers?
So I will admit that I am not 100% sure like exactly what the question is asking, but I'll try to dig into that one a little bit, which is at Fictiv, right? I just want to make sure like the process is fairly clear, right? And so the way that the process works for Fictiv is that you upload a part and then or any number of parts and you create a quote, right? And once you've got that configured, right, you've got those parts and drawings uploaded and attached to one another in the platform, you can configure your part for things like different materials, secondary processes such as anodizing or bead blasting, or maybe you need some plating, whatever that may be. And then what we do is that we can, in the vast majority of times, we can give you an instant quote for how much that's going to cost and how long it's going to take to make. And so we actually just do that actually before we specifically go, and in most cases, especially in CNC and 3D printing, we do that before we've actually selected a specific source for that part. And we just give you that information, give you the opportunity to check out. If you have questions, you're welcome to ask them, like I was saying, either through our chat system or reaching out to one of the other contacts that you may have at Fictiv to sort through that. And then we make it very simple for you to just check out. Once that goes through once that's actually been purchased, that's when we actually place it with one of our suppliers. And so we then sort through that all, figure out who the best supplier is for the given requirements of a specific part, right? Maybe a part, like I said before, maybe it requires, heat treatment, right? And, we can place that part with a supplier that maybe has heat treatment in-house, right? Or suppliers that definitely, have, quick or convenient access to something like anodizer, right? And so you don't specifically have to be in charge or really have any interface with the manufacturing partner that actually makes the part. We manage that process, and take care of all that for you. And as TJ was referring to, even once that part, and order gets delivered to that manufacturing partner, we manage that, end to end for the, entire life cycle of an order. Even beyond all this, right? If you place an order with 4 parts, right? Maybe some of them are best for one manufacturer over here, and some of them are best for another manufacturer over there for given capabilities. We help manage all of that and try to provide the most seamless, process possible as we do that. So hopefully that answers that question. Perhaps it went a little broader than the question may have intended to be, but that was, I hope that covers it.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. All right, another one. I think this one fairly simple. Are we still onboarding partners right now?
Heck yes, we are. I'm actually going to post a link in the chat. If you want to become a manufacturing partner, just go to that link and there's going to be a apply now button. So yeah, definitely. We have a whole sourcing team that's on this. We're actively onboarding people for CNC primarily, but also for I think certain sheet metal, 3D printing, all sorts of stuff. So definitely, if you have any interest, go to that link.
Amazing. All right, here's another one for you guys. This is a juicy one. Why should someone trust Fictiv?
You shouldn't. It's a terrible idea. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's a good question. I think for a lot of reasons. I guess I would be curious to dig in a little bit and fire it back and ask, why wouldn't you trust Fictiv? I think in general, I touched on a little bit our IP practices, IP security practices. SOC 2 certification is rare in this industry, so we really do go above and beyond from like an IP protection standpoint. We, if you have an NDA that you want us to sign, we can look into that. We actually have a proprietary NDA that we can get signed with you in like half an hour. So there's definitely layers to all this. In terms of quality, why should you trust Fictiv's quality? We have a really robust quality team that has established these feedback loops with our manufacturing partners. So if there are non-conformances with an order, there's going to be required follow-up from our manufacturing partner, not only in acknowledging what the error was, but also what are they going to do to prevent that error moving forward. Our on time and in full shipping rates are pretty stellar. Typically hovers around 95%. So yeah, I don't think there's really any reason why you shouldn't. But if you have any sort of more specific questions around anything that you have in mind, go ahead and ask. Happy to answer.
Awesome. Thank you, TJ. Let's go ahead and field one more, and then we can actually answer anything outstanding via email. We can follow up with any of you guys. All right, so last one for you. In design, if design, mechanism, and manufacturing design have been done independently, do you have to go through the entire 4-step process with Fictiv?
If design, mechanism, and manufacturing design have been done independently unless you go through the entire Forrester process.
I think this was a question, another like a rephrasing of the prior
Yeah,
question.
exactly. And then I think it actually got covered.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Which
Okay.
I can read and take on. I have this one. How quickly does 2D drawing analysis happen? 2D drawing analysis happens very quickly. It's a little bit complicated in the particulars of how it makes its way through our system, but the analysis itself is quite fast. Probably under a second or two once the processing actually starts. There's a queuing system, things get queued up for processing. There are details, but the long story short is that 2D drawing analysis happens fairly quickly through our system. Usually any delays are actually related to the stuff that's around it in terms of like how the browser pulls for results and all sorts of different stuff. One thing I'll highlight in terms of drawing analysis, and how that system works is that you won't always see it, right? There are some instances where we don't show like the highlights on the drawing for one reason or another. Sometimes those are that drawing's been reviewed by one of our fictive manufacturing engineers. When an engineer's reviewed it, we basically they go through it, and some of them are on this call, so I see you all there. That they go through, they analyze everything, they make sure that things are accounted for, right? And so we don't always show that in those instances. The other instances, right, is when it's about to go get reviewed by a fictive engineer, right? So sometimes we won't show it in those instances. But long story short, to directly answer the question, it happens quite quickly.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you for all of those questions, and thank you everybody for joining our webinar today. And thank you, TJ and Justin, for your beautiful brains and delightful presentation. As a reminder to our attendees, you will see a recording of this whole webinar in your inbox, as well as the slide deck in follow-up, probably either today or tomorrow. And please keep us in mind for your next project. You can simply head to fictiv.com to create your free account and get started with us today, or log in if you've already created a free account with us. So thank you again to everybody for attending, and happy Thanksgiving.